Start with e4. Oh, it plays the Scandinavian. It plays it the way I do, with the knight out. I think it's a very solid line for black, although it's not well rated by the computer, to be honest. To be honest. So if I bring the knight out and he pins it, do I care? Should I go ahead and kick that knight immediately? Let's do that first. See which way it wants to go. So I went back. I think going back to the other side is a little more dangerous for white. Let's see if he develops his e-pawn and blocks in his bishop. He does. Then I can bring this knight out. So yeah, black has a pretty cramped position here. Yeah, he can play Benoni style, try to undermine the center. If I push and he takes, then it allows him to bring the bishop out. But I do get a passed pawn, right? I push, he takes, I could take back with the pawn, and it's defended by knight. And I don't know, it's a little shaky looking to me. If he takes, I can just take back. So let's go ahead and pin his knight. Got something caught in my throat. I'm wondering about this move. Okay, he attacks my pawn and unpins his knight. Okay, I want to keep his knight out of this square. If it comes this square, I'll take it with my knight. So this is someone who believes in going all out for the attack, it looks like. I think I want to... Oh, no, he changed his mind. Changed his mind. Yeah, I want to develop this bishop anyway, and castle. This spot is well protected. So let's go ahead and take this knight. As soon as he castled, this pawn became a target. Let's go here. If he trades, his queen could grab this one, but my queen will be over here on this side of the board, threatening the king. So yeah, I do want to take there. Let's see, maybe here, hit his queen. That looks like a good square for my knight as well. Okay, so let's just get rid of this knight squared Now that's going to bring his rook in. I want to do something here. You know, I would like to get the bishop out of the way of my queen with tempo, because I want to bring my queen over to this side. Right now the queen is needed to defend this. Okay, we'll just retreat. I have to do it the slow way. I don't want him taking my pawn after I took his. I went to a lot of trouble to win that pawn. I don't want to just give it back to him. Okay, I'm thinking queen here to here to check the king. Maybe I need to bring a rook out. Rook here, put some pressure on that bishop. Okay, let's go here now. Since I can't go here with check, if he pushes the pawn up to protect the bishop, I can put my queen here and have a battery like this looking at this square with this pawn out of the way. Okay, he can do that, but that doesn't really gain anything for black, really. Oh, it got the bishop out of trouble. I'm sorry, it did do something for black. Okay, what can I do? It's tempting to try and trap the bishop, but he, you know, can take that pawn. And it's a pretty clever move. I wanted to put my queen here, threatening this pawn and threatening to go here, but that's all defended by his light squared bishop. I can move the knight here. Okay, I want to, I don't want to take that. Well, I don't want to take it with the pawn because it opens up this file, and can't take it with the queen. But if I step out of the way and he takes, then it's I can push this pawn and it's blocked his yeah, it's tough that I don't have any good squares to go to. I let him take, and then I'll just push this pawn up, and then his pawn will have blocked his rook. Right, there'll be a black pawn here. He gets his pawn back, but I'll be threatening to win the bishop. And he can sacrifice the bishop, maybe make me. We'll see. He's got a good setup there. Yeah, I can put my knight here and threaten to come here. That would free up some light squares for me, because to stop that he might have to give up his light squared bishop. So he went forward instead. Interesting choice. So I should move my pawn forward myself because this will he might sacrifice the rook. Well, anyway, this blocks the diagonal of the queen, so that's probably a good thing to do. And if he doesn't sacrifice the rook here, then this bishop is stuck forever. I was thinking he sacrifices the rook or the bishop. Yeah, sacrifices something. Well, now at least he cleaned up the the light squares, so I can bring my queen in on the light squares. Let's go ahead and take. So, he wants to get to this square, so let's block that. So what can I do? Okay, let's just save all my pawns to start with. And then I can start maneuvering with this knight here. Take advantage of my extra piece. Yeah, it's tricky sometimes when you have when your opponent has sacrificed a piece for some pawns. You have to take some time to consolidate your position. But 2 rooks against a queen is a pretty good deal. And I have an extra bishop. So he resigned. Okay, nice game. Let's see if we can play a 15-minute game here. He's going e4. Let's do a maybe some kind of e6 Sicilian. A con Sicilian. Oh, I selected a long time control, 15 and 10. Well, we'll see how long this game goes. I didn't, I usually select a 10 and 5 instead of the 15 and 10. Bringing the bishop out here is often an idea against the con. This knight doesn't need to be protected at the moment because I didn't develop my knight. And the bishop is pretty good there. You can maybe push this pawn forward with tempo. Black's play, on the other hand, is looking at controlling the e5 square. Keep that pawn from coming forward. Develop this knight. Keep pressure on the center. And then maybe push these pawns later. Maybe push here. So he does a typical English attack there. I don't believe that's particularly good against the Khan, but we'll see. Another idea is to put the bishop here, although you don't really want to take here just to mess up pawns. You only want to take there if it gains some material. It would now, though, if I take there with check. I could grab a pawn. And then with this knight out of the way, I wouldn't have to worry about him pushing the e-pawn because my knight could go to this square. Could be good. So the queen came out to defend. So I can take that knight and mess up the pawns, but it's not really worth doing, as I recall. Trying to figure out which way I want to evolve my pawns. I guess I'm going to do this. So I could do bishop here. Oops, excuse me. Bishop here, a knight here. He could castle either queenside or kingside in this position. He didn't finish his English attack setup with f3, so he could castle kingside and play f4 instead. The rook there, try and get an attack going against my king. White has better development. I have a couple of pieces I haven't developed yet. That's one of the things. Okay, but now he is going to the English attack setup. So this indicates probably queenside castling. And like I said, I'm going to develop my bishop here and my knight here. Is there anything else that's going wrong here? The knight here, maybe I can take here and then get this bishop to this square, skewering the queen. Might be interesting. Anyway, yeah, that's the thing about the Khan Sicilian, is you make all these pawn moves, but they are all aimed at protecting the queen's position there on c7. And if he does decide to castle queenside, it might mess up his pawns. But now I have a decision to make. Do I want to retreat? Well, knight takes, pawn takes. I could play b5. I mean, bishop takes, pawn takes. Could play b5 to restrain these pawns, and that might be pretty good for me. So bishop takes, queen takes. Yeah, he's sort of asking for it at this point. He will have, the reason why you don't always want to do this is because he will have the bishop pair and he will have open lines. So it can be good for him. So having started this, I will go all the way and take the queens off too. Then I can play okay, do I want to play b5? If I go for b5, then he will always have that freeing push c4. In fact, maybe even play it immediately. But if I don't play b5, then he can play c4 and try and keep my pawn squished. Okay, so I will just play b5 anyway, and if he pushes that pawn, I will take it, and I'll get my rook to the c file and try and get pressure on the c file anyway. That's the plan. And in the meantime, I will be, so he decided to castle. Yeah, in the meantime, I will be developing my knight. Put the rook to the c file. Yeah, I'm going to defend the center with my king. Bring the rook over. And then bring another rook to the c file. So that's good. He spotted a weakness here. I can, of course, play... yeah, let's go ahead and do that. I can play e5. If he takes, I'll take with a piece. If he pushes, I will move the knight and attack his pawn. And in general, try to get to the square on c5. And I'll worry about liberating my bishop later. I have blocked in my bishop, I realize. That may look a bit peculiar. So this is a kind of fork. He's got to move the bishop back here. Oh, there. I did not think of that. And then he's going to move the bishop to this square. Okay, let's bring the rook out. So he can put the bishop here and knock my king back to the first rank, but he can't trap my rook on that side. So how do I attack his bishop? Boom, 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 boom. Need to be there where the knight is or where the king is. So probably I should play f3 and king f6 and king f7. Okay, now I've got another square for my rook, so the knight can go here and here. Just want to get that bishop out of my camp. Is that too much to ask? Oh, the knight could go here and here. Looks pretty interesting too. Especially with the rook here. So there's the rule of 14, I think it is, 13, somewhere around there, that says when it's safe to bring your king out. And we're not there yet. We have 16 points on the board, so in theory, it's a little dangerous to be playing too much with your king. But I was thinking in some of these cases I might want to wander my king up on this side. And it's certainly a little bit better poised for the endgame than White's king. So if I drop my light squared bishop back one square, how is he going to... Oh, he's defending it from the side. That's how. Okay. Let's bring the rook over here. I'll take that. Now I can't take the next one, so I guess I have to push. Okay, let's attack that rook then. I think that move was played a little too quick. Of course, I've used less time than my opponent, so. But the rook has to go back. I can win a pawn. He can play check. Can go back, he can check. How about if I try and win the pawn? Oh no, I can't do that. It does not work. Okay, now we'll do this. I have an idea here. Try and get one of those two bishops. I'm also threatening this pawn here. Oh, that's clever. That is very clever. I missed that. I missed that idea entirely. So we won the exchange. This pawn is hanging. And I can take off this dark squared bishop if I want to. Not sure I want to, actually. Is it really doing all that much? Okay, now I need to be careful. He's going to try and mate me here. But I think the pawn forward, which I want to play anyway, I think this works. To stop the immediate mate. The thing to worry about is him pushing his pawn forward to undermine it. He goes there. Now, I have an ideal spot for my knight here. Let's see. What's the best thing to do? Should I take some pawns first? Push this pawn forward. Put the knight here. push this pawn forward. Bring the knight around some other way. If I push it forward, then he's already blocking with his rook. Yeah, let's just see if he wants to move that bishop. Oh, bad idea again. He can play here. Yeah, I'm thinking, but I'm not thinking about the right things. I mean, I spent some time on that move, but I didn't think about what he would do. Well, it's not the end of the world. I can bring the rook back to defend. It's just annoying. Yeah, there he goes. That's okay. Let's go ahead and take this pawn. Oh, he wants to trade rooks. I don't mind that, actually. So now it'll be easier for me to get my my rook in, my knight in. See, if I go here and attack this pawn, he can defend it here. I can push this pawn forward to attack his rook. Or I could move my knight here to get to this square. So he does that. Yeah, my plan was to push. I think I will. And I can blockade that. He can defend it. Then I can grab another pawn here and then get my knight to this square. But actually, just leaving it there is pretty good. And I can start pushing these pawns now. Ah, so he stopped. Decided he wanted to stop that pawn. How about this one, though? Do you want to stop this pawn? Let's think about it. Or maybe I should just go here and get rid of that bishop. I'll have so many pawns. I should be able to win this with the bishop versus rook. And it is a fork, right? I'm hitting his rook and I'm hitting the bishop. Don't want to do anything before I take his bishop. I think I should take it now while I can. And I can move my king here. Eliminate the passer. Okay, we'll defend this one. So yeah, this is bishop that was behind the pawns all the time. It's going to become the hero of the endgame. It can defend all the pawns, and I'll have to be careful. I'll have to move my king up with the pawns, but if I can eliminate his pawns, then I should have the freedom to move my king. You know what he could do? He could push this pawn with check. I can't take it, because then he could push this one, but I can still take this one. Then I think this is a worthy trade. I'll let him take that pawn, and I'll take this pawn. He can take here with check, or he can push first. I take, and then he takes here with check. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. He can just take, or he can push this pawn first and take with check. But I don't think it matters too much. So you do have to give up some stuff sometimes. And so I'm just going to try and get my king into a good position here. Start pushing these pawns. Now I go here, he goes there. So I think I can lodge my bishop on a good square like so. Then he can't threaten this pawn anymore. And if his king tries to come forward, I can Yep. I wonder. Oh, I just take the rook. What was there to wonder about? No takebacks. I'm sorry. You can call that a game. I made mistakes too, and I didn't ask for takebacks. So we can look at that with the computer and see what the computer evaluates that position as, and see if that was it might have been a draw with correct play. I don't think White had any winning chances there at the end. I'm just gonna march the pawn down and queen it. So let's see, if I go here, if I go here, then he has no. Oh no, he has a square he can move to. Got to be careful you don't stalemate him. And then we can checkmate like so. I was thinking the bishop covered that square. Eventually he will have to step back, and then we'll checkmate him. Okay, he resigned rather than letting me play the checkmate move. That's weird. If you go this far, you should let them checkmate you. Anyway, like I said, let's take a look at that position before he blundered his rook. I gave back a bunch of pawns. I was probably a lot better at some point. So this was the evil move, the really bad move. So right here, what is the evaluation? It's minus 2.5. Okay, so black has an advantage still, but that doesn't indicate a winning advantage. Oh, it suddenly jumped to minus 5. It looks like maybe he found a win. So there's probably a win in there, and it's a matter of looking deep enough. That's my guess. If we turn this off and back up, let's go to the very first position where I decided to take that bishop. I was interested in this position here. Does it want me to do that fork and take the bishop? What is the evaluation of this? Okay, I could just push a pawn and have an even stronger advantage. Looks like pushing this pawn or pushing this pawn. That's the other way to approach it. But it gives this as an option, minus 7. He went here, and then I took, and then it drops to minus 4. Okay, so I should just leave the knight there in that dominating position and push the pawns. That's the best way to play this according to the computer. And when I took the bishop, then suddenly I'm making life more difficult for myself. Although it should still be a win. And you see a value like minus 6 or 7. But he got kind of tricky with his rook. Probably that was a mistake. That was a draw. Okay, just push pawns here. I don't have to grab this right away, huh? What if he pushes? Then bring this bishop out. And I can still catch it. So if he steps up with the king... Oh, he actually can't... how about if he steps up with the rook, so that it's trying to get the rook behind the pawn? Then you go here with the king. He goes here to defend it. You go here in front. And then he can't make progress. And that's how you deal with that. And you should be able to win with all those extra pawns. Anyway, interesting game. I hope you guys enjoyed them, and I'll see you next time. Bye now.